In a field lies hope, anticipation. From the biggest races to the brightest stages, taking you on the wildest ride.
Forbidden Trade with a gigantic upset. Best in show.
For the glory, the pride, the payoff. Enter the field, the Ontario Sire Stakes program, from Ontario farms to the world stage.
Superstar Jimmy Freight, the richest and fastest son of sports rider who continues to race and win in the top classes at Mohawk Park in 2022. Now a winner of $1.5 million. Watch for his first crop yearlings selling at major sales this fall. Jimmy Freight stands at Winback Farm of Canada for $3,500 Canadian with multiple full discounts available. Visit winbackfarm.com or call 905-838-2145.
The gates fly from the beautiful Niagara Escarpment in Campbellville, Ontario. Woodbine Mohawk Park, home to the Pepsi North America Cup, a summer classic, the Mohawk Million on Canada's richest night of racing, and returning this fall, the Breeders' Crown Championships.
A wild finish wins the Breeders' Crown.
Woodbine Mohawk Park, full fields, exotic wagers, iconic events. You gotta play here.
Welcome to Twos in Training. I'm Jaimi MacDonald, and today we have Chantal Mitchell joining us on the Harness Racing Update. Thanks for letting us join your barn this morning.
Oh, no problem. It's a pleasure having you here.
Let's get into some of, your background in the industry. You've had a steady growing stable for the last decade or so. How have you been adapting to more horses in the barn and that type of change?
You kind of take it as it goes. Honestly, I don't want to get to be too big. I'd rather stay. Right now we have a barn of 20 horses, and I kind of like to keep it at that number because it's easier for us to keep an eye on everything. I like to be hands-on, and I like to put horses away every day, try to touch on all of them if I can, and so we try to do our best to keep our numbers to right around that number and just go that way.
Have more of that personal touch with all the horses and then with the owners as well.
Exactly. I do like to be in contact. I try to be anyways. It's not always easy, but I try to keep up with the text messages or emails to let everybody know how their horses are doing. And I think that, it's hard to say no if an owner calls you to take a horse, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do to keep things the way you want to run it.
Absolutely. And what keeps you motivated, throughout those long, cold winters or these rainy springs that we've had this year, just kind of the ups and downs in the industry?
I'll tell you what, this year was probably the toughest winter that we've had. It was so cold, and then there was so much rain. I feel like the whole month of March, we were just banging our heads against the wall, not being able to do anything. But if at the end of the day you can go out and you can put some horses on the track and win some races, then I guess it makes it all worth it. And the horses are nice to work with regardless of the weather. So,
absolutely. And let's hop into the OSS program. You've always kind of been a part of the program, either the grassroots or the golds. And what brings you back to this program every year?
For one, it's here. It's at home. It's a great program. The purse structure is probably one of the best around. And for the most part, the horses are affordable. And like I said, it's in our backyard. We're here. Where we're stabled. We're 20 minutes to Mohawk, 20 minutes to Flamborough, 40 minutes to Grand River, and all the other tracks are within 2 hours. So it's, with the exception of Rideau, but it's local and it's probably easier. And there's some nice stallions here, so we can get some decent horses that can possibly be Grand Circuit caliber as well. So I think it's a good program to be a part of.
A great learning opportunity for those young horses as well.
For sure. You can see a lot of the OSS graduates racing in the Open at Yonkers and the Meadowlands, and they just step up and they can go with the big boys.
Now, before we get into your 2-year-olds, what do you find the differences between buying a yearling or a 2-year-old at a sale and then the homebreds that you get to train? So can you talk about the difference, or do you see a difference when you have them here in the barn?
Well, the homebreds, they don't always look as flashy as the horses at the sale because they're not sales prepped, as you'd say. So they don't get that extra work into them. So a lot of times it just takes a little longer to see them look fuller and stronger. But I mean, right now we're fortunate. We get a lot of homebreds from Tom Hill. They're raised at Hunterton Farms, and his mares are top notch. So I mean, they're not shabby homebreds to be dealing with either. Same, we have our own mare that we breed, and like I said, they're not sales prep, so they look different. But when you can go to the sale, you can pick out the horse. You don't have to deal with flaws when you breed them yourself. They have a crooked leg, you're stuck with it, and you have to deal with it. So it's just a part of it.
Before we get into your 2-year-olds, let's kind of recap last year. You had a great season throughout the summer, and a couple coming back this year. How about your 3-year-old trotter, Armstead Cole?
Yeah, last year, he started a little later. He was always physically fit to race sooner. He was not mentally stable to race sooner. So we brought him along very slowly, and Randy Waples was a good help in that and teaching him how to race. And so he finished the year off very strong. And we actually just qualified him for the second time yesterday. And he's come back just where he left off. So I'm hoping that he's going to go into the SBOA for his first start. We'll see how he matches up with the Gold Colts, if we maybe try him as a Gold horse this year, or if we stick to the grassroots. Either way, the owners are happy with him, and he's come back looking good, so he'll give us his best.
It's kind of nice to have that SBOA kind of first thing to make that kind of decision before you go up or down in the OSS program.
Well, yeah, especially this year, the Colts are getting that opportunity to have the SBOA, whereas before it was just the fillies. And the last 2 years with COVID, it was put at the end of the season, and so it really made it difficult for some of those returning horses to get a start and just to line themselves up for their sire stake program. So it's nice that it's back in the beginning of the season like it was.
Absolutely. And how about the Prince, 4-year-old trotter this year?
The Prince he was very good to us last year. He made a little over 100,000. He won his grassroots final, and we gave him time off afterwards and brought him back, and he just made his first start last week. And Paul said he was really good and he felt strong. So I think he's going to come back to be hopefully a nice condition horse at Mohawk for us.
Perfect. It's great to hear that, they're back and they're ready, and you have a great season ahead with them. Let's get into your 2-year-olds now. The first one we're going to talk about is Sweet Arma. Now, she's your Sweet Lou filly. Everyone in the barn here has just said how smart she is, and she's beautiful looking.
She definitely is. She's big and she's strong, and out on the track, a lot of people think that she might be a 3-year-old colt, not a 2-year-old filly, just because she's so big. She's the first Sweet Lou that I've ever dealt with. I mean, if they're all like her, I'd love to have a barn full of them, because she is so smart. I mean, in the barn, she's got character. She will kick you, she will bite you, but on the track, she is just like a racehorse. You can do anything you want with her, so we're hoping that she can be nice, and we're just going to try not to go too fast with her too soon.
Next up, you have Hangover Hill, your Better's Delight colt.
He's quite nice. He's not really big. He's a full brother in blood to Racing Hill. And last year we had a full sister for Tom, and she was total opposite body-wise of him, big and heavy, strong, beautifully gaited, but unfortunately her size was her downfall. So with him being on the smaller side, and a lot of the Better's Delights tending to be good when they're smaller, I like his chances a little more than hers. But he's doing everything right. I mean, he's shown that he's got quite a bit of speed, and he is our only horse that's still a colt, because he is still he's acting like a horse that can stay a stud. He's not being bad. So I mean, I like him. I really can't say anything bad about him, but hopefully he can be half as good as his brother, and after that we'll see.
And next, moving on to your $50,000 purchase from Harrisburg, Beach Bet.
So I've been waiting for that horse for 2 years. I trained his mother, Beach Goddess, and she was probably one of my favorite horses that I've ever had. She was very fast, but not mentally sound whatsoever. So she could make breaks because she would spot a giant stone on the track and just jump it. And it was nothing to do with her gait, nothing like that. So when Doug decided he was going to breed her, I was waiting and waiting, and they sent me a picture of him, and I saw him, and I said, I won't be able to afford this colt. He's going to be much too expensive, just because he's solid, very good looking. So we went down to Harrisburg, and we had a budget, $50,000, to buy him. We skipped over on some other ones, and I thought, I don't know if I'm going to get him, but the All Bets Off weren't selling as high as I thought they would, and I think that helped us. So we were able to get him for our exact price that we were looking to spend on him. But we gelded him early, and he's done absolutely nothing wrong. I mean, he goes out there, he's the utmost professional on the track, and anything you ask him to do, he does. So I'm quite excited for him because of the fact that I really liked his mother, and because he's going well, and we own a piece of him too, so that could be fun.
It's so nice when kind of the stars align for something like that, especially when you've had your eyes on this one for a couple years.
Yeah, like I said, I waited for him, and when I saw his video, I said, I won't be able to afford this horse. There's no way I could bring him home. If he was a Bettor's Delight, I wouldn't have been able to buy him. So being an All Bets Off, and so far from what I hear from everybody else, everyone likes their All Bets Off. So I think he might be a good sire here in Ontario. And actually, we liked him so much. We had Big Myrtle, who is a sister to his mother, and we were breeding her this year. We bred her to All Bets Off because of how well he's going. So we'll see.
Amazing, yeah. And next up, we have Undercover Hill, Bettor's Delight. This one's a homebred.
Yep, he's got a strong pedigree. He's on the small side as well, but he's grown up quite a bit over the winter. We didn't get to see him train today because he's been sick, but he was an absolute terrorist as a colt. And after we gelded him, it was kind of an instant change. And he has become one of my favorites on the track because he just, I don't know, he's out there, he's very calm, cool, and collected, but he always does his job, and he shows up every time. And he's terrible for me. I can't catch him in the paddock. I can't do anything with him, but he's still probably my favorite one on the track because he's just so smart out there. So, yeah, we'll see.
And the last one on the list today is Baroness Hill, Cadabra filly.
So Baroness is out of a sister to Manchego, and Tom Hill had to spend quite a bit of money for her in Harrisburg. But going to the sale, he told me he wanted the best bred Ontario sired filly we could find. So she was our top pick, and I had him on the phone while I was bidding, and he's just said, keep putting your hand up. Go ahead again. And I was shocked that we had to pay as much as we did, but I mean, just because it's a cadaver, I didn't think he was going to spend that much, but he did, and so I mean, I'm grateful to have her in the barn. She's a late foal, so we've taken our time with her because she's done quite a bit of growing. So she's behind the others, but Tom has been very understanding with that, and we're hopefully trying to prep her for later in the season if everything goes according to plan. But she's putting everything together on the track now, and she's another one. We have a very good group of well-behaved horses, so I'm hopeful that her pedigree will come through, and she can show up at the end of the season for us and maybe make some money.
And do you get nervous when, Tom's saying, yeah, keep bidding, and it's going up, and it's over 2, and it's keep going, and you're going, oh no.
I was shaking. That's the first time that I ever had to bid a 6-figure horse myself. I know it's not my money, but it was still extremely nerve-wracking, and actually to the point that when I put my name down on the paper, I didn't spell it properly. They had to come back and say, who is this? And I was like, okay, I'm better now. I can write this properly. So it was very nerve-wracking for me, but hopefully we can do some good with her while she's here anyways.
Well, thank you for joining us, and good luck this season. And it sounds like you have, some good steps this summer, hopefully, and good luck, and thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you very much. I wish we would have had a nicer day today, but I mean, at least the sun's shining.
Yeah.
In a field lies hope, anticipation. From the biggest races to the brightest stages, taking you on the wildest ride.
Forbidden Trade with a gigantic upset. Best in show.
For the glory, the pride, the payoff. Enter the field, the Ontario Sire Stakes program, from Ontario farms to the world stage.
Superstar Jimmy Freight, the richest and fastest son of sports rider who continues to race and win in the top classes at Mohawk Park in 2022. Now a winner of $1.5 million. Watch for his first crop yearling selling at major sales this fall. Jimmy Freight stands at Winback Farm of Canada for $3,500 Canadian with multiple full discounts available. Visit winbackfarm.com or call 905-838-2145.
The gates fly from the beautiful Niagara Escarpment in Campbellville, Ontario. Woodbine Mohawk Park, home to the Pepsi North America Cup, a summer classic, the Mohawk Million on Canada's richest night of racing, and returning this fall, the Breeders' Crown Championships.
A wild finish wins the Breeders' Crown.
Woodbine Mohawk Park, full fields, exotic wagers, iconic events. You gotta play here.